There's a movement on the street. People moving to shuffle to the beat. I hear them talking on the streets. Words like freedom from oppression, that's what my people need. I stand before you today, a proud descendant of the great Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei Chief Tūperiri. Before the white man came to settle in New Zealand, and before Auckland became the super city, every hill, every lagoon, every peak, valley and ocean in the Tamaki Isthmus was ours. The white man and his all-consuming greed slowly stole away our land like a flesh-eating bacteria. In the summer of 1953-54, Queen Elizabeth II had announced that she would be visiting New Zealand. And since Auckland was then our nation's capital, the government of the day thought it would be a wonderful idea to show their queen the city and take her on a little ride along Tamaki Drive. Obviously, they felt it unseemly for their queen to see the natives running around freely. So, to tidy up that little issue, they covertly burnt down our fishing village and booted us from our ancestral grounds in Ōkahu to the hilltop above in Ōrākei. From there, the colonizer became bolder with their land grabbing until only 24.3 hectares remained on Takaparawa Bastion Point. I stand before you today, a proud descendant of the great Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei Chief Apihai Te Kawau. I am Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei. On the 25th of May, 1978, 800 police and New Zealand Army personnel converged onto Takaparawa Bastion Point to forcibly remove Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei from the last 24.3 hectares of uncommitted land that the iwi had hoped to get back from the Crown. The iwi had gifted the land to the Crown in 1885 as a defence post that was never built. In 1976, instead of returning our land to us, the Muldoon-led national government decided to sell the land to the highest bidder for high-income housing. Papa Joe Hawke and the Ōrākei Māori Action Committee commenced a peaceful occupation of the land with a simple message: Bastion Point is Māori land. After 506 days, he and 221 of his supporters were arrested for exercising their sovereignty and protecting the sovereignty of future generations. I stand before you today, a proud descendant of the great Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei Chief Pauratu Haere. I am the waitemata that runs through my veins. When I was little, I spent my days with my nanny Connie in her home on Kupe Street. Most days would walk down to Takaparawa, would sit for hours, laughing, singing, and making daisy chains. My nanny would always remind me that this was our land, that I belonged here. It's funny what you take for granted as a child. Then as you get older, you realize how meaningful and significant those moments really are. My nanny Connie, our daisy chains, Takaparawa, this is my sovereignty. This is my well-being. I stand before you today, a proud descendant of the great Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei Chief Tūperiri, as lofty and steadfast as my mountain Maunga Kiekie. It is fair to say that we have invested our treaty settlements well, and that this has made us resource wealthy. But how have these treaty settlements empowered our sovereignty, our well-being? Treaty settlements, seabed and foreshore acts, amendments to Te Ture Whenua Māori Act, it all pits us against each other, whānau against whānau, hapu against hapu, iwi against iwi, Māori against Māori. We don't need to do that. We don't need to scramble for the scraps that our government throws out to us like a lolly scramble. Our sovereignty, our well-being as a collective Māori nation comes from our solidarity in standing together with a clear message for our government that their law must not take precedence over our law. I stand before you today, a proud descendant of the great Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei Chief Tupiriri. I am Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei. And if the call ever came to stand up and fight for our last 24.3 hectares of uncommitted land again, I would be there, brave and fearless, a warrior standing alongside my iwi, fighting for our sovereignty and well-being, and also the sovereignty and well-being of future generations of Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei, so that one day they too may walk down to Takaparawha and make daisy chains with their mokopuna. Thank you.